grace, please.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our most kind and gracious Father in heaven, we approach thy throne of grace with humble hearts and mindful, Father, that we have power because you allow it. We ask, Father, that you be with us this morning. Give us the wisdom to make decisions which are right and proper in thy sight. We ask also, Father, that you be with those that protect us and serve us. Keep them safe. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
We have on the first part of appointment for planning commission, but let's see the, minutes. All right, let's get through minutes. All right, minutes were sent out. Do we need to do the budget hearing? All right, we got minutes for the July 1st meeting, and then we also have the budget. Are there any, you want to control them as one unit or separate them?
July 1st.
July 1st, you make a motion to approve? Okay. John Reynolds made a motion to approve July 1st council minutes. Is there a second? Gerald Fleming made a second. Open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Motion carried. All right, back over to the minutes on the budget. Are there any additions or corrections to those? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Ransville made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ben Bonney has made a second. It is open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Motion carried. We have in here for appointment of planning commission, but Claude, I'm going to let you allow you time so you can get back.
Appreciate that. When I came in the other day and talked to you, and I forgot to write a letter, so first about rehiring that deputy spot. I'd like your permission to do that.
Looking for a motion?
Yes,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Jonathan has made the motion, second by Ben. This is open for discussion. This is part of the procedure of our hiring, a replacement of positions by heads of departments to come before the county council and the commissioners, and so that's what we're doing here. Are there any more questions or discussion?
Just want to make a note, we're not adding staff, we're just replacing.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I will take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything you guys need from me?
We went in there, and just to tell you where we're at on the budget, for the preliminary, you had put out something like a $70,000 figure, to kind of take care of those months. We kind of split that up. There was $50,000 that we had done in the budget, and then I think in Medicare we did something like 20, so that's where we kind of come up with our figures to split it up there. So anyway, we'll see whenever the jail we'll see when the jail gets up, you know, and going and stuff, and see how that goes along. I think, so that's kind of where we were at on that. Of course, that, nothing is dry and ink on that budget for sure right now. We're still negotiating on a lot of stuff.
Okey-doke.
All right?
Thanks, all.
All right, thank you,
See
Paul.
later. See you. I'll see you. in the morning.
Appointment to the Plan Commission, at the last Plan Commission meeting, and their Lane Freiberger is actually moved to another county in that. He has had some family health issues, not particularly with him, but I corresponded with him over the weekend and asked him to give us a letter of resignation, and he did by email, but through my electronic technology, I have printed it off on at home, and I've got for the Plan Commission the written resignation. But he will be resigning from the Plan Commission, and he is represented by the he is the county council appointment. So we do need to look at replacing that position from here. There have been a few names that have surfaced in there, but whether we do it today, you know, is at the discretion of the council. I think that as far as with the, there's a certain percent of, there has to be a balanced board of political parties. And I think that in this position that it can either be a Republican or Democrat, either one, in this position. So there shouldn't be any problem with that. Some of the other positions we had a balance and we had to kind of address that, but in this position, you know, it's not. With that, is there any council members? I mean, this is new up on the agenda and stuff. Would you want to review that for next month to work with? We are working with ordinances and some drafts to bring back to the council, but Philip, you're on there. I mean, you kind of referred to me that name of somebody with interest. We have advertised this before, and then I think it would be a proper method, maybe just go ahead and advertise and say this position that people submit their names.
I think you're right. I think we should follow the same procedure we have where we advertise saying that we're looking, and if they would like to come to the next meeting, those people that's interested present why they would be interested. I mean, we've done that with the park board and a couple things, and that way we get to know who those folks are.
Correct. So I think that'd be a proper method. We can do that through the paper as far as making the, announcement that there's a position open and that for a Plan Commission, and submit those names to the auditor's office, and we would like to have a physical representation of them maybe at the next county council meeting. Not mandatory, but, highly recommended. So, understanding that this position, it has quite a bit of responsibilities, and there's even though we have monthly meetings and they can be up to 2 hours, there's a certain amount of work that goes on in between, to get prepared for the meetings and stuff. So don't take lightly as far as the position. But we need to. So we want to make a motion to go ahead and advertise that position being open for us.
I'd make that motion. That's what we can.
All right.
Let's advertise that position and go that route.
All right, Ben's made the motion. John Ravels has made second. It's open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Motion carried. All right. So we'll advertise there.
Okay, are you talking about putting in a legal advertisement, or are you just asking the paper to put a notice, like in the Newsy News, that to call the office if you are interested in the position?
Legal counsel. Does it need to be a legal notice, or?
It's an unpaid position, isn't it?
I mean, we've never advertised it as a,
You know, it
you know,
doesn't
not
have to
actually
be.
advertised it as a,
You're right, I don't think you need to do an advertisement per,
You
as
just
a,
ask-
as a paid employee.
Right.
You can just ask Marcia or Rhonda both to, you know, it's obviously on the camera, so to inform the public, or maybe over in your what's brief section, that
Are there any requirements?
is this one an open, I mean, if it's our appointment, then it's
Well, there's no political parties,
gotta be a,
and
you
they
want
have
a
to
county
be,
citizen.
and they have to be outside the 2 mile fringe.
Property owner, don't
Property owner outside 2 miles.
Outside the 2 mile range.
And when's the term up?
Oh,
he's resigned.
Well, no, I mean,
Oh,
how
yeah.
long would this person serve to finish out his term?
I don't have the appointment, I don't have my appointment.
I don't know. I have to see.
Michelle, you have an appointment?
That's who I am. Outside that fringe.
All right, let's see if I can find it.
It'd be out in the last.
Well,
I think kind of the last page or second to the last page.
Expires first Monday of January 2014.
It expires when?
First Monday of January 2014.
So really, it would just be finishing out this year, and then they would be subject to reappointment.
Right,
I mean, they can be reappointed. So,
yeah, he's.
You know, reappointed if they want to be.
if they want to be,
They
that's
may-
right, right, yes.
6
That's
months
right,
may
they may
be
not
enough.
want to be, right.
You know,
3 months may be enough.
That'll be
Or
enough.
somebody may just not, it may not be what they thought it would be, sure, you know.
well, and it's,
So,
who do they call? The auditor's
Auditor's
office?
office,
All right. Well,
I don't,
give them
yeah.
probably kind of just need their name and address and telephone
Oh,
number.
no, yeah.
And then, yes, it would be appropriate for them to come to our next meeting. If you want to put them on at 9,
Jim.
redo this at 9:30, maybe we could specify the time, so.
Jim Day's on there, and he expires 2014 also.
Which appointment is it?
He started out this direction, I think.
Jim's in the 2 mile
He's
radius.
in the fringe,
He is now, yeah.
or he was then.
Well, yeah.
He's always,
All right, well, probably because of his position.
and maybe, I mean, he may be agricultural or something,
All right, so anyway, there's 2 coming up in 2014.
but who appointed? Did we appoint Jim?
I don't have it listed here who appointed.
Okay.
Wasn't he on as a council? He was a council.
Do we have to appoint him? I don't know.
Careful about our rules.
We need to
We
check
need to
that.
check that.
We need to check.
Is that the only 2?
Lane Freiberger's up January 2014, and James Day is 2014. Irvin had just been put on, but he's finishing out a term, 2015. Adam DeFore, 2017, and Scott Modlin, 2016. And then we've got county council, commissioner, and surveyor, Danielle, as far as county extension, you know, so.
So yes, those are the only 2. We need to make sure who appoints who.
All right, now I think the 3 positions, Irvin, Adam, and Scott are commissioners. Sorry,
I don't know about Adam, I know Urban was.
yeah, Irvin was for sure. All right,
I think Adam
yeah,
has to.
need to check those out, but we got, all right. Moving. Well, I don't believe he's on the 2 mile fence.
I don't know what your requirements are. It's
I
more than 2 miles.
know, but he had a position.
Well, that may be, I mean, as council member, definitely
yet, Marcia will do something in there
Yep.
as far as explaining there. Planning commission meetings tonight at 7 o'clock too. All right. As far as the letter, do I need to have an official here with the signature? Because he get it to me by email. Does he need to sign that for?
I have a file that I put in, if I get the resignations, I have a file that I put them in.
All right, I'll
If you
just,
want to keep it on my file
if he
too.
comes into the auditor's office, if I get it to you, then he can sign it there,
Okay.
okay? All right, moving to the next order, additional appropriations. And the first one is for Pauper's attorney.
Yep, 20,000.
$20,000 on Pauper's attorney is requested. The other ones that we have are for hospital lease rental that we said that we were going to catch back up. And then we've got Riverboat Revenue Fund. We've got a transfer,
Oh, an
It's an
additional.
appropriation.
additional appropriation.
And that's taking care of your health insurance issue.
Yeah, this is to take care of health insurance, $350,000. So we have three. We'll deal with them one at a time. First, Pauper, $20,000, circuit court. Have a motion to approve.
Where's that coming out of?
County General.
General fund, 1,000. I mean, do you know how many can you punch in and see how many outstanding?
I don't know how many outstanding he has. There's only 3,600 left in that budget.
How much?
3,600.
That's out of the 10,000 that we,
That's
Last one,
what
we
it
gave
is.
1,000 last
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve.
Ben Bowling has made the motion to approve. Have a second.
I'll second.
Jonathan Spalding is seconded. It's open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Passed with one opposition. Hospital lease rental, $23,663. We said that this was to catch us up on our hospital, put us back on standard payments that we got. Have a motion to approve the $23,663.
I'll make a motion.
Dawson Souders made the motion. Joe Fleming has made the second. It's open for discussion.
Now, we still got one more distribution in this fund, right? Decent. Okay, that's all I need to know.
All right. Take to a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same, unanimous. Riverboat Revenue Fund, transfer, well, or appropriation, $350,000 from the Riverboat Fund to general fund to cover our insurance, health insurance.
Well, it won't go to general fund. I'll create a line item in the riverboat fund called insurance.
Okay,
Then you just can't pay the bill out of it.
Yeah,
all right.
that's for the kids.
Now this is,
What'd you say, Richard?
okay, you make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Ben.
Dawson
Yes,
wanted to know
Dawson.
what, yeah, what you said about the paying the bill right out of the fund.
It'll be paid right out of the riverboat fund. The money won't be going into county general.
Ben's made a motion, have a second, so we can open up for discussion. Joe Fleming is second. It's open for discussion. this riverboat, this is this our Harrison County money?
Yes.
You know, observations on our insurance, as we went through the budget process.
$450 some odd thousand roughly.
Yeah. We purposely left this line item open, during the budget process of last year, and never put any expenses to this fund to take care of any shortfalls we come up with. We found, that insurance has been a huge burden on our finances, for this year. And so, as we go through this, fortunately, we haven't over-expensed ourselves on this particular fund to take care of certain things. Only reservation I have, and I guess this is kind of an editorial, is that some of these funds, whenever they're coming from Harrison County and from the commissioners appropriating up this way, is that they kind of like to see what we're using the money for. And I hope to keep that conduit going because it's an important revenue conduit for us. Sometimes whenever I see certain directions that we try to cover our needs in this county, I wonder what they look like on the other end, as far as where the money's coming from, especially with this fund. So that's the only words of caution I really have. I wish I had a solution to the insurance deal. I wish we had that even for the next budget too. But it seems like we're trying to catch up with this, and that it's always going to be. The health insurance to me is by the size of the county and what we have control over. We may have a $14 million budget, but we only have really control over, as far as county council, about 5.2 to 5.4, some in that range. And we've got the insurance putting the burden on us of about a 1.4 to 1.5.
Well, Dave, that's coming out of gadget. Your 5.2 would be levy plus other taxes. So, yeah, your numbers are right. It's just where it's coming from.
I hate the percentage. The percent of what we're paying on insurance, for the amount of money that we're working with around county government. That's my biggest concern, is the percentage of money that we're spending that way. Some place, somehow, we have to address this. And I'm very unpopular.
Question, would it be proper, it would be the commissioners, are you guys looking for any other alternatives to the way we're doing it now? Is anybody pursuing the insurance from the standpoint we're doing it this way now? Is there any better way or other way?
We haven't found one yet.
Okay.
Yes, we're looking, but I don't have an answer for you right now.
Well, there's the big question mark right now as to how much Obamacare is going to be, the government entities are going to be affected by that. That's a huge question mark right now.
Whether or not it's going to be pushed back too.
Yeah, we don't, the insurance question right now is just, it's in the clouds.
Well, there's two things that you can do to really kind of affect the cost. And that's employee contributions, that'll make an impact, and deductibles make an impact. And really family contributions too, how much you're charging family members to be on the plan. So that's really your best option.
Well, I just relay that out as we just do this appropriation. This appropriation is something that we've got to do to cover our funds and our expenses with it. We are a self-insured county, you know, as we look through this, was it the right decision, wrong decision, it doesn't really matter. It's what we got in front of us right now, and that we gotta deal with. You know, at that particular point in time, I'm sure that everybody that was involved felt like that was the correct decision, and some of the discussion, I mean, a lot of them said that's the only direction they really had to go at that particular time. So, anyway, with that, have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, take to a vote. All in favor of this appropriation of $350,000 riverboat revenue to be utilized for healthcare as a line item, correct? Signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Same. Okay, passed. I'll send these around. No, I did.
Let everybody else sign, and you decide how you.
Yeah. Only had one of them, I did. Okay. Going right in, 10 o'clock, we're in the budget discussion. We had a pretty lengthy process. First of all, I'd like for you to look at your financial statement, see where we're at. This is the 1st of August. Our next draw on Cadgett shares is when?
December.
December,
Oh,
Oh,
on Cadgett
Cadgett.
or
Cadgett.
Cadgett? Next week,
next week,
or no, this week, be this week.
okay? So that figure's gonna look a little bit better.
For Cadgett it will, but not county general.
Right.
Yeah, not county general, for Cadgett it will.
That's what he said.
So what are you looking at on that draw for Cadgett?
Almost 154,000 into that. Yes.
Okay. General, December. Any other lines in there of interest? Riverboat share, what are we so far down on them?
It doesn't come in, it come in this month.
Okay.
Usually it comes in August.
All right, make a note of that.
You've already paid claims out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those are-
About everything's been paid, there's one or two that's just, they turn in like a,
halfway through.
yeah, so like settlement time they turn in.
Each.
But yeah, almost everything's been paid out, that's gonna be paid out.
State 911, we still running negative in there. Is there any new insights from our discussion in that? Where should we be talking, with the state on this?
With the state 911. His
His
name's Barry, I forget what his last,
Ritter,
yeah,
R-I-T-T-E-R.
I forget what his last name was.
Seems like an ongoing with other counties, they're the same.
That I couldn't tell you.
Not much. It's one of those things we can't do a whole heck of a lot with.
Probably the only thing you can do with it is what you prioritize as payments in your budget.
And then basically, the only thing she has in the budget is the salary, and she has to pay for the equipment.
rehabilitation. Okay. All right, any other questions on there? See where things at? That's not gonna carry us for another month.
I don't particularly like it. I think I discussed this with you at budget thing. What we do have budgeted in, I mean, when Michelle and I met with Kim, our representative from the DGOF, talked about budgets, she felt like going ahead and waiting with what we had in that budget in fund to just see how we were gonna end up. Because it's with the state, apparently is still in a state of flux about how much each county's getting and the distribution of things. I mean, I don't like it because we know we're in a red, in a negative now, and I don't know how that's gonna get clean. I mean, the only way I can think of is getting cleaned is the county coming in at some point and saying, you know, some sort of revenue we have goes over there to reduce that negative. And I'm not trying to throw Kim under the bus, but her feeling, that if I understood it right, Michelle, was to kind of wait another year to see, because apparently the state at their level of what counties are getting what distributions versus what counties are bringing in, you know, they haven't completely got that formula all down. So she was like, well, wait another year and let's see how good or bad you are.
Well, I know when I was talking.
The problem is that
Yeah.
we know we're bad now. I mean, we know it's negative now. I'm just concerned about waiting another year about how negative we may or may not be. I mean, if we're just a little negative, you know, $5,000, so be it. But if we're $25,000, that's going to be a chunk from us to
Do we
move
only
something
get
in.
one annual installment?
No, every month.
No, it's
Every
it's-
month,
We'll
okay.
get $24,095 per month.
Oh, 24.
But when I went to one of the meetings for this state 911, and because it was just new then, is when they were starting all this and getting it together and everything. And they said even at that meeting that it would probably be, because they're still working
Right,
on all the
they're
kinks
forming.
and everything, that it'd probably be like 3 or 4 years, or 3 years or so before they could maybe finally get everything together and how they want it and everything, so they're even still working.
Right, that's the problem. I think they're working on it. The problem is when they finally say, we're done, and this is the way it's gonna be, when somebody looks at them and say, okay, we've been waiting for you, and now we've got a $25,000 negative, what's your answer to that? I'm concerned their answer is, we don't care, you gotta get that cleaned up, and this is the way it's gonna be in the future.
Come here out.
You know, when we sit here and say, we've been waiting on you to tell us how to do it, they don't seem to be too concerned about whether it's negative or positive, as we seldom.
Maybe they don't know that we're in the state.
Yeah,
and
no,
not-
well,
Maybe I need to talk
I
to
don't know, Kim.
our 911 and have her maybe to put a little bug in Mary's ear and say, you know, we're not, what we said we were getting and we gave them our,
Right,
okay,
not
it's
funded.
not funding our,
so
yeah.
who would you put a bug into?
I did Miss Barry, Ritter.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe, Davey, I saw you writing his name down. Yes, I think it would, I think it'd be, I just kinda hate waiting.
So I mean, they just sending us the money, they probably don't know that
What our
it's not,
expense are and that's not
yeah,
fair.
that it's not supporting us.
Right.
I mean, if they're simply gonna tell us, well, the answer is you gotta reprioritize and make it up yourself,
You're right,
We
that
need
may
to know
be
that
what, yeah, that may be
sooner
what he
than
said.
later.
Yeah,
Right, sooner we know it, the better off we are.
but if he says that it's not, and maybe
Right,
something
if
they
he
can
says,
rework and they can
yeah.
give us more money or something.
we understand that with other counties too,
Yeah.
and we're working on that still, and the formula will come up at some point to be able to eat into those arrearages, then fine.
Yeah.
Maybe we trust them a little bit more.
Well, I need a number.
I
Okay,
have one.
you can relay it to me. Oh, right there it is.
I guess I do, it's on his email, so that he sends.
All right. Well, where I'm back onto the first page, two figures. You got your dispersed for the month, you know, 136,629.31 out of the general. Ending cash balance is 175,83.42. Get up to the 1st of September, it's gonna be slim pickings in there. You got September, October, November, and December to go before you do a draw. And well, the worst thing about it is, you know, even though we get a draw, you know, and Mark and I have had this discussion, is that we get a draw and we get cleaned up at the end of December, but we don't have enough to carry us until June of the next following year. We've been doing this for enough years that it's mounting up. And then we've got these extra things on the budget that's all in front of us that, you know, are really burdensome. They're not small ticket items and stuff. So, thoughts? Discussion?
Well, the thoughts has gotta be, we've got a public hearing today about this income tax. We're gonna have to really see what the public thinks, but we know without doing something, we're gonna major shortfall. And that shortfall will have to be covered one way or the other. And Mark was saying it the other day, but we gotta look at the big dollar tickets, what's costing us, and what we know is gonna cost us into next year already. That's gonna be insurance, so there's just a lot of things. Do you guys, I look at you and there's three of you, have any problem with any of us talking to insurance people and getting other thoughts?
No, I mean, you and
how we
I,
might do something, just get other input.
See, we can't do anything contractual, but I got a call the other day, you know, from a person that was, you know, read it in the paper and was really interested in, you know, discussing, you know, some different possibilities and stuff, and actually seeing where we were at, you know. Like I said, you know, my expertise definitely is not in insurance. Being self-insured and having that certain amount of responsibility, you know, involved in it, I don't feel very comfortable without it. I like to have as much information in front of me as I can, you know, whether it's which way or which direction, I still want to see the information possibilities out there. You know, health insurance is very important as far as employee retention. But we as a fiscal body of the county, in that's one of our huge burdens that we've got on our county. Honestly, we're getting up to close to $10,000 per person, you know, in insurance. Correct?
You're going to end up this year, out of all revenue streams, probably around 1.6 for the year.
We got
So I don't know what that is.
141 full-time employees,
During your budget year.
and out of 96 of them are out of the county general. 121 employees are on insurance, and out of that 33 carry family insurance.
Yeah. Well, right now, our insurance, we're paying for it with Gadget. You know, we have budgeted $850,000, but we also, this transfer we done today, we know that's gonna be above and beyond, but I think Michelle said she's gonna pay that right out of another. Not gonna short anything other than riverboat. So, we know that, you know, our gadget, when do we get certification on it? Here before too long,
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have
within the next week
certification.
or two,
That's what
we'll
we're
know what
hoping.
they're gonna give us for next year, or what we've earned for next year. Correct myself on what they give us. But when we see that number, we'll have a good idea that we need to, well, we really need to research some avenues. It's how we maintain health insurance for the people, but be able to afford what we maintain.
Right.
But we need to let them know. We need to do this quick as we can, so people know what they're facing. I think that's key. That's the reason I'm gonna solicit my insurance man.
Well, does anybody have any real ideas or any, to talk in discussion in what direction we need to be kind of looking at? We've got different insurance companies that could look at this and see what they could do, or different plans maybe to look at. That's one option. Is another option, what level of insurance do we keep with the
Well, see,
employees?
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's the other issue. And the other is, what's our deductibles, being self-insured. I don't know where we're at on deductibles.
Well, the employee has a 3-tier deal, what they do, but we have a $70,000 cap
Right.
on our out-of-pocket as far as that goes, and then we have about a 1.7 million on our aggregate for all employees. But that's only if they're on the insurance and not COBRA plans.
Yes, and,
So-
and another thing to address is this comp time, switching around too. That has to be addressed as far as to keep these plans compatible to, employees' actual days and stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of swapping around with this comp time that's kind of extended.
Well, that's being addressed on this. That's being addressed.
Have you already addressed that?
Well, this whole thing we're in discussion on, and as far as trying to find a cheaper way to do that, some of us have met with the insurance, trying to see what we come up with on the deductible. This is gonna be a high year for us. There's talk of rebidding insurance
Why is there even talk of it?
because of the expenditures of our insurance and where it's went to.
Why not rebid it?
Well, this self-insurance is probably the cheapest way for a large number of people to go. The only trouble with self-insurance, things can catch up, and when you have a lot of hits, it's expensive. Other insurance companies don't want you with some of the expenditures that we've had. Bidding is not, a lot of people think they want to bid it till they see where we are, and then they don't want us. We're not a prize subject here.
So we say, until we actually throw it out there, throw a shingle out there.
Well, I think we need to
in
get some
front.
direction from people who know the insurance
Right.
business about what is out there. I think that's what we need to find out, what is available.
I'm
Jonathan mentioned something at the last meeting that was new to me on the,
Health saving plans or something.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a variety of different plans out there. The three options that the county has are all pretty Cadillac type options. You can go out there and you can raise employee contribution. I think his employee contribution is about $35.
So it's more than that.
Yeah.
I don't honestly know how much it is, but that's something you can look at, and you can look at family contribution, and you can look at deductibles. You can go with a higher deductible plan, and I think there's opportunities for savings there.
I think we have to turn everything over and look at it, what's underneath of it. And then, we're to that point, and then as far as the discussion, whether we look at different bids, I think The answer is, yes, we've got to, because right now, we've got something that is really, there's either gonna have to be some cuts, there's gonna be some changes, anyway. It's gonna have to be. I mean, realistically,
The money's
guys,
not there.
realistically, guys, as we look at this budget, that's our big ticket item, that's where we gotta make cuts. You know, it is, because it's too high a percentage of our budget. You can have all the emotions you want with it, but it's reality.
Well, that's the reason I want to have some discussions with people I know, so we can have some foundation.
Well, I'm with you there. I don't think the discussion is whether we bid it out or talk to people. I think, well, yes, we do, and we talk to several people.
And I'm not trying to circumvent commissioners, this is for my own knowledge.
Well, I like to make an informed decision,
do
and
too.
I like to try to get as much information in front of me. Instead of saying, well, you can't do that, well, tell me why.
But
So anyway, I'm kind of looking at that, and boy, I tell you what, we need to be picking it up. We need to be doing this.
Well, we need to be working on it. Well, we need to make sure we know what we're talking about so we can address it.
What is it, we have to submit this thing in after we go through public hearing?
November 1st.
September 3rd. And we've got August, what, 24th?
Second.
22nd, we've got the hearing.
Who's in charge of our current insurance or self-insurance fund? Who's in charge?
Well, the commissioners sign the contracts,
With,
so they do a contractual agreement.
Right now, Matt Miller Brown is our broker.
that's the first start. We need to start there, tell them what our situation is, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, we got, without a doubt, I agree 100% with everything you said. We've got to start before we're at, and see what they might recommend, and then we'll take it from there.
Go ahead, Phil.
It was new to me, but on a self-broker, they broker every year for the type insurance that they can find us the cheapest price there is. So we may be with Aetna, or we may be with Blue Cross, or
Understand.
they find whichever one we want. And correct me if I am misconduct. But they're doing it every year as the broker. Now, is there different brokers? I guess they are. But my understanding, we've always used Nat Miller Brown. As far as bidding insurance every year, my understanding again, they look and put out for bids our insurance that we need, and that's the way it works. And I think December is the bidding, if we're gonna check on a different broker, which would look at our policy to give us a bid, whether they want to be us or do us any good.
Well, and, you know, maybe our insurance package that we've got is something we need to downsize it.
That's probably where we're headed for.
Yeah. So we need to see where we're at there, and what those options are, and what the cost savings are.
Okay, they come in the next meeting or something. Maybe we've got some good questions to present to them. Or we can redo some of these calls. Maybe offer a lesser plan. Maybe
Well, I
when
think
they broker out there, they would tell whoever's going to supply the insurance.
Guys, you done that this past year. You raised your deductible on your aggregate per person from $60,000 to $70,000, which brought your premium down somewhat. Because the more you want to spend out of your pocket, the higher you want to go with that. You know, that's money you're going to pay out of pocket, okay? Then they'll lower your premium because they're not exposed. You are, as far as that first initial deal. That's one of the ways, but I just need to get better educated about how that works. It's been a few years. I haven't negotiated a contract in 20 years, so it's been a while since I've talked with any of them. But I think we gotta do something to know what we're doing is the right way, or the right thing. You know, I don't,
In the discussions I've had, we've had some big tickets, not talking about any people or names or stuff. We've had some big ticket insurance claims that's hit us, you know, and it's been with us for a while, that really put us over on the negative side as far as this insurance, you know. We're still trying to recapture it. You know, best scenario for us going in for reinsurance, of course, we can't jurisdict people of their health and, you know, when they're healthy or not. And the sickness, that's the reason you've got health insurance, is that we needed to be healthy for a while, you know, to get those balances up and, you know, to be able to absorb, you know, the impacts of some, you know, claims that come in. You know, as far as with the farm and stuff with health insurance, I try to look at, you know, of course, you know, insurance has changed so much. It used to be a few years ago, it cost you $1,000 a day to $1,500 a day to be in the hospital. Well, to go in the hospital now, it'll cost you $5,000 or $5,500 a day, you know, those type of costs. And of course, here, we're sitting as a council, we're not got over it, we haven't got control over it. And a lot of people out here in the United States feel the same way, you know, is that we keep on seeing these things escalate. You know, I didn't like it when our health insurance plans were claiming, you know, 12 and 15%. But if you didn't like that, then get ready for 25 and 28% increases, you know. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It just, I mean, a whole country and governments are trying to figure out what this insurance thing's going to be, you know, our health plan for everybody, whether you as an individual government or what, trying to sort it out. And to me, I feel unantiquated with the knowledge that I know on that.
obviously, it's one of the things, as a nation, there's a lot of people a lot smarter than I, that's as confused as I, because they don't know where we're going to next, across the board. But you hear these numbers of 30, and it's all about demographics, age group, this, that, blah, 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 smoker, non-smoker. What's one of the increases will be? I like to say, whatever little bit of education I can get, I'm gonna try to sink it, but
We've had problems for all the years that I've sat here. And I remember 20 years ago, we had a problem at Delaney's Creek. The individual that run that, he got bad health, and that increased our premium. And so I think we've got to face up that we've got a problem. Period.
Well, I know we got a problem. I like to find a solution.
Well, I don't think it can be done.
Well, we gotta find some type of financial solution,
we
you
gotta
know.
find one.
We're gonna have to find
But
some
you understand
financial
what I'm
solution
saying?
for the county
Yeah.
government.
This has
Well-
always been
Yeah,
one of our expensive budgets.
it's just kind of expensive, or say that word for me, I can't.
More expensive.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, other budget items
Is
that
that
we
right,
talked.
Mark? You remember?
Yes, I mean, you're right, Dawson.
But the concern is just the health of the group. And it seems like if you look at our track record over the last several years, we've not really had that healthy as a group.
That's what Dawson's even referring to.
Yeah,
I mean,
so whenever- Yeah, but
he-
whenever you go and try to get other insurers to look at us, because right now we're self-insured, you know, kind of what I'm hearing is that we're not a real appetizing piece of pie, and there's not a lot of people that want
I don't
to.
know what.
Well, here's the deal, if they hadn't went self-insured when they did, they wouldn't have been able to afford the insurance. That was the big thing. When they done it, it was probably wise what they done. But as time goes on, things are changing.
Well, that savings is catching up with us because of inflation and unhealthy group.
Right.
And you know, one strategy that, and I wouldn't
feel bad saying unhealthy.
I wouldn't propose it, but you know, one way to clean up a plan like that is to eliminate the plan for a couple of years. And that's terrible to say, and I'm not proposing it, but what happens there is you know, you get people that go elsewhere to find insurance. So then you could possibly, there could be a benefit by starting up a plan a couple of years later, and the plan could have cleaned itself up. But I don't propose that because I don't know what's gonna happen with 2014. If what's supposed to happen is that anybody can go through an exchange and they can get insurance come January 2014. If that was the case, that would alleviate our responsibility to give group health. But with what I'm seeing with healthcare reform, that changes every 3 or 4 months. So what happens if we say, we're gonna eliminate the plan in 2014, and then the government comes out and says, well, we're not ready to implement exchanges, and now all of a sudden, we've not offered our employees a plan, and some of them, because of pre-existing conditions, if that stays in effect, they may not be able to get insurance come January 1st. To me, I feel like, you know, we've done a real injustice by doing that. So, I mean, it's just, there's just no real good alternative. I think for this year, it'd be really nice if we could go with a higher contribution, higher deductible, try to get that premium down some, wait and see what happens with 2014 and all the stuff that's supposed to play out in 2014. Be a much better way to make a decision than 2014 for 2015. But I mean, it doesn't help us with the here and now. We just have a major shortage.
No silver bullet, I don't think. It is a big factor that we're gonna have to try to gain as much knowledge down, you know, and try to pull as much of resources in and look at different packages, you know. You know, like Jonathan said, you know, you could really be bare tactics and stuff and pull the whole plan. But I don't think that's what we really want to do. But, you know, if you do it on a monetarily sign as far as black and white paper, and, you know, without people involved, and of course, as we go through this, being self-insured, of course, like a bunch of insurance companies, they got such a larger pool. Our pool, you know, is these people that I just talked about. Now, we might be merged in with a little bit other with groups in this self-insured, I don't know the particulars of it, but our pool doesn't look very good. In our limited pool that we've got, we don't have any way to disperse those expenses out with the premiums coming in on those people, so,
Should there be a committee of maybe a commissioner and a couple councilmen that really over the next month really look at this with
No.
our broker, or how does that
No.
work? Okay.
That was gonna be my answer.
I'll answer it for you.
I don't know, I'm just trying to throw out suggestions.
So how do we go about it? Do we just propose out to the commissioners and stuff that we're looking at different plans? You know, put it out there that we want to see any
Well, I
proposals?
hope that they are doing that.
Well, how do we do it? Are they advertising, or are they word of mouth, or we get out on the square and yell?
We're talking to our insurance company,
Yeah,
and we've got them scheduled now at every second meeting of the month, and we are working on it. But it really comes down to, like Jonathan said, Ben has said, the government don't know what they're doing. We don't have insurance, we're eat up with money. We don't have the option right now, we're not choice people. The price for us right now, we're not in the bidding, we're not in a good stage to bid. We've had a bunch of wrecks, and our premium's gonna be high. And there's talk of dropping insurance. There's talk there's gonna be fines if you don't furnish insurance. Nobody knows, and yes, we are, but there's no good answers right now. We don't have, we haven't been given any good choices. We got problems. And I can't give you the silver bullet.
Are you doing the budget review?
Well,
Phil, what if the council just says that we're just gonna give you so much money, and you gotta find a way to use that?
We're not trying to
Is that-
spend
is that
all your
correct?
money.
Is that a
That's
little
not
arm
what we're
wrestling
trying
there
to
for
do.
you?
We're trying to work within the problems of the county.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
we're trying to do.
You know, I think the biggest thing about the whole thing is the unknown as far as where the federal government's gonna go. This is our big handicap we have. Our other handicap is simply that we propose a budget for the following year, and we don't know what that's gonna be, actually. You know, as far as health insurance, where we're gonna be there, whether the government's gonna take over a part of that, where we can be paying less or doing less, and the government be paying more, as far as the United States government, we don't know. I got an email from one of my agents a few weeks ago and said that they would start taking applications as of October the 1st for next year.
In
Which-
Kentucky.
I'm sorry,
Is that in Kentucky?
no, that's everywhere.
That's everywhere.
That's everywhere.
You're talking about
And-
exchange.
For the
Exchanges.
exchange. And so, you know, they're moving along, but they have to because, you know, this all takes time to get people enrolled and everything. You know, there's our handicap. We don't have that time.
And then we don't know as the timetable gets closer to the deadline, whether they're gonna be able to say, whoa, you know what, we can't get all this off the ground in January 1st.
Exactly.
Just,
right.
I mean,
I've been told several times it's going to be a real train wreck when it happens, and I believe it will, the longer it goes on with the uncertainty, not only for private employees, but for government too. It's going to be a mess. I wouldn't want to be an insurance, right?
I fought this for 20 years.
So right now, there's no penalty, you know, as far as employers not having insurance, you know.
they pushed that back, I believe, if I'm right. That
Pushed
got
back
pushed back.
1 year.
Yeah,
All right.
to 15.
Now, I mean, that was proposed by the president, but then it had to be enacted by Congress. And the way I understood, they took it to the House to go ahead and make that stamp legal as far as what they could do or not do with that. I don't think it was an action by the president he could do. It had to be an act of Congress. I hate that
And
statement.
I think it's through the House and it's waiting for the Senate.
You're right, that's the way I understood. I hate that statement of act of Congress, you know.
You know, you're just paying the time.
All right, I don't want to belabor that too much more on the budget concerns. Was there anything else that you could think of? I mean, we looked at,
I think you need to bring it to something of a head / close to the council. Do you simply want the commissioners to keep coming back to you saying, well, this is what they're telling us and this is what we're thinking? Or do you want, basically our agent is Mark Nance out of Dan Miller, as I understand it, Mark's the health guru for the county. I mean, do you want him at your next meeting to physically address the questions you're asking about? You know, who are you bidding to? How are the bids? When are the bids coming back? I mean, I understand, I know what my understanding of it all is when we talk about bidding, but I mean, do you want to hear that from the horse's mouth? And, you know, what's your projected? It's my understanding that for several months this year, you know, our agent kept saying, look, you're doing great, everything's wonderful, you're gonna come in under 850, what you got budgeted. And then all of a sudden, it kind of hit a couple of 3 months ago and moves, nope, that's not gonna happen. And we've got these added expenses, so.
well, I'll tell you what I'd like to
I mean,
see.
what do you want out of this discussion? Do you simply want to say, commissioners, you've heard all this, you know, keep doing it and coming back and telling us, or do you want to hear from the horse's mouth, or?
Well, this is what I want to see. I want them to put a plan together, take us back to 850, and then show what type of deductible it takes to get to that. And that's one of them. Then we'll work in between it.
Let me make a suggestion, like Mark said, why don't you call Matt Miller Brown, Mark Nance, into your next meeting and tell Mark Nance what basically we've been telling him?
Well, I think, you know, 850 was something that was palatable in our budget.
Well,
So that has to be a benchmark, and then we have to work with what in between we can work with. You know, you throw it out there and show me what it is, you know? What that deductible looks like, what that plan looks like. Maybe it's something that we just don't even, you know, no, that won't work, you know? But we have to see what it takes, what is palatable for us to work with in the budget. And then 850 has been in the budget before. So, that's my challenge. Now, I don't care if it's Matt Miller, I don't care if it's a guy that's running the bank today. You know, I wanna see what that plan looks like.
So why don't you put it out for bids? You've got $850 to spend, what can we get for $850 from everybody?
Well-
Well, that's kind of what Randall talked to you,
Yeah,
just said.
But you have the hidden stuff like you get what, this last round was basically a hit, yeah, it was a hit by, this is an unforeseen additional expense.
yeah. Rhonda,
Once you get more than one insurance company in here, and just to answer your questions, I mean, because, you know, and Mark's very reliable, but you're not gonna, you know, it's not gonna satisfy you just to get answers from him. If you have somebody, you know, not take any formal bids, but see if there's somebody else that can back him up. You see what I'm saying, or not back him up? and
well, I
say, you
think
know,
it's very responsible in there because it gives credibility to figures.
right, but, I
Whenever you
mean,
got that.
you know, get the information from two sources instead of just one.
Well, I understand what she's saying, but frankly, as I understand that industry, and you can complain about it, about the industry, you can talk to agents, and you can say, until you say, I am going to enter into an agency relationship with you, and I want that bid, they are not going to get on the hook to say, I can go out and get this for you for this price. I may be wrong, but I don't think, you know, if we have Nat Miller and then somebody walks into, I'm just picking names and pulling examples out of the sky. We walk into Eric Williams and we walk into State Farm and we say, now Eric and State Farm, we're not going to enter into a relationship with you, but we want to know what you will do for this kind of money. They're going to look at you and say, we're not going to give you any kind of formal quote that you can rely on until you tell us we're your agent of record. And once we're on the hook for that, then we'll give you quotes that will stand up behind you. And I think that's an industry problem. I mean, you guys can go out and talk to people. Well, you know, there's some of that, there's some of, I don't want to be on the hook.
I really do need to, I really do think that those different plans need to be challenged out there. You know, different steps and it.
I mean, I think that's a legitimate question. If you want to give Mark, just like Randall said, if you want to give Mark Nance a figure, says, look, we're going to give you $850, we're going to give you $950, and you tell us to the best of your knowledge at our next meeting what that does to our current insurance plan and our current insurance obligations, I think he'll tell you that. And he can, you know, tell you this is what it's going to require in terms of deductibles. He may look at you and say, I can tell you what that's going to do. You're not going to get any insurance. I mean, I think he can probably tell you
Well, he's familiar.
some of those
He's familiar
answers.
with the dynamics of the group.
Yeah.
You ask somebody else to come in here and give you numbers,
Yeah.
they're not gonna have any idea what the claims history looks like, whether you're talking about, I mean, there's just too many details.
And I don't know that they can get that without being the agent. Because we'd have to give up a lot of
You have to
personnel
give up-
information,
you have
quite
to give it
frankly,
up.
without being the agent of record.
So,
There's a question whether we can give that up.
As far as with Nance, when does he meet with the commissioners again?
Be the
Second meeting.
That's
Second
my
meeting.
understanding. Commissioners meeting will be-
20th?
Yeah.
We got budget hearing 24th,
27.
22nd. And then at that point, he can't present something right in front of that kid. Because that's gonna be a meeting that we have.
Yeah, I mean, your kind of going beyond, you're going beyond your scope of what that public hearing is for,
Right.
what you've advertised it for.
Well, I just thinking that was when the group was available.
Right. It is, I mean, it does have an impact on your
Oh, yeah.
budget. I mean, you have a figure in there now. I mean, I guess the way to be is if he, you know, he can present to you what the proposed outcome of your budget for 2013 will be with insurance cost with the figure you have now. Does that answer? I mean, if the question is, we've put a figure in, is that gonna make it or not? And tell us the impact that's gonna have on our current plan if we look at the commissioners and say absolutely no additions or changes into that figure. What's that gonna do to our plan? And what is that gonna do? Will it change those 3 tiers? Will it force changes to deductibles? Will it increase it? Will it decrease it? I mean, he can tell that to you in the
Well,
budget.
I think it's important, and I would like to use that opportunity, you know, at this meeting to have that done. You know, he's gonna meet with the commissioners 2 days prior, and then after their discussion, then present it up in a public hearing for our budget.
I mean, I think you can take that kind of information in your budget.
Okay,
I think that's gonna answer a lot of questions that keep coming up here.
All right.
All of us.
we'll do that. Okay, personal policy, for other business. And go personal policy, we looked at the handbook, we need a little clarification. We've got some language that's got per diem and expenses, you know, kind of mixed together. And this deals with meetings away from the county as far as reimbursement on meals, mileage, and lodging.
It was brought to the auditor, and the auditor brought it to me last week. I said to the auditor, her first deputy, the same thing I say to my wife, I'll fix it. And so, what has been brought up is the current audit. It's not per se that we're doing anything improper, but the current auditor has brought to their attention, the state auditor has brought to their attention that we have claims coming in that simply are per diem. We have an ordinance of the council or a resolution of the council from many years ago that set a certain mileage rate, and in our personnel policy, we have a different rate in essence. And he, I think at this point, is saying, you know, from DGOF's position, one controls over the other, that you really just need to have the same thing. You need to have some consistency in there. I sent out an email to each one of you that those issues have been raised, and we would need to be talking about them at this meeting. So that's how that has came forward to you. So I know some of you have looked at the personnel policy and have discussed that with me. There's where we're at.
Okay. Council, any suggestions?
We have in our personnel policy that we will pay the federal mileage rate, I believe. And we have a prior resolution from the council, and the council is the one who fixes this, or who determines it. When I say fixes it, we're the ones, usually personnel matters are under the commissioner's bailiwick, but under these types of expenses, it is the council's obligation. So we have years ago put 33 cents a mile. The personnel policy says federal rate, which is 50-something, 56 a mile. So there's the inconsistency there that needs to be cleaned. So
I'm gonna make a motion to change that reading as far as our policy from federal to state rate, which is 44 cents a mile.
want to set that, that amount, or do you
Or you
want
want
to
to set it by
say
state?
the state, that Washington County will pay its employees mileage,
Just set it by state, is what
the
would be my.
equivalent to what the
We're gonna remove the federal
state
and go to state rate.
administrative rate is? I think that's under
And-
state administration, so.
You know, we know that's 44 cents, but that can vary.
That can vary.
So we're just changing language actually just to the state rate rather than the federal rate. In any place it's documented in the manual, personnel policy.
What about meals?
So you want to take them one at a time.
Say,
I
Okay,
think it's easier to do
All right.
that, less confusing.
The mileage is a pretty much
the
clean across the board.
motion, do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Jonathan Spalding made second. It's open for discussion. Motion on the floor is that mileage be at state equivalent, administrative, administratively state, or whatever, wherever that
The
figure
motion is
comes.
set by who sets that, ladies? Do you know, out of the state, when we say the state?
When I researched
Well, I
this,
assume
like,
it's,
I assume it's the
Like that?
state personnel department,
See, it was travel department?
I thought there was a travel department.
travel department under the,
Indiana,
probably the,
Indiana.gov, travel commission.
Okay.
under the personnel.
That's
department.
currently a 44-cent rate
Yes.
in that.
I guess we just say whatever the state,
Or
the
the
state of
state rate.
Indiana
or the
determines to
state
pay their personnel for travel.
It's a travel management office, that's what it is.
Okay, utilizing the state management offices, number
Travel
for
management.
the mileage. Any more discussion? Seeing none, take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, same. Motion carried unanimously. Meals. Lodging was pretty well taken care of, wasn't it? You know, as far as,
Yeah.
okay, as far as with the auditor, it was meals and mileage, I think it was.
Right, I think that's what Dan kind of brought up to our.
Meals, any suggestions?
We apparently have, what he has noticed in his review of claims, Dan has noticed in his review of claims, is that we have some claims simply using the term per diem. Our personnel manual, and this was read 3 or 4 times, and I even read it in, so how does it get by? Well, it just does. But apparently we have some claims using the term per diem by itself. Our personnel policy talks about a meal reimbursement rate, but it doesn't disclose that or doesn't state what that is in the manual. So those are kind of apple and orange terms. And I think that's what needs to be cleaned up between the two. Do we have a per diem? If we do, what is that rate? And if, do we have a meal reimbursement? And if we do, then what's that rate? We don't need to use, we need to use one consistent term throughout. So,
Okay. And I think there's quite a bit of talk about receipts in that, you know, as far as the receipts being
the personnel policy requires receipts.
Yeah, must provide a visual.
so we're gonna
The
put a
concept-
maximum.
The concept of per diem really doesn't require receipts. It simply says if you're gone, you get this much money per day to go do your business, and if it covers it, fine. If it doesn't cover it, fine. But you get it, and you don't have to necessarily, you don't have to show the receipts.
Okay,
I think that ought to be language, and I could phrase this in the form of a motion.
all right,
I make a motion that we have a meal policy, when you're traveling more than 50 miles, then you get an allowance. I think the state recommends, I got that off the state side, $26 per day, 4 meals. And I think that you ought to have to provide the receipts whenever you're making that claim. That you either have a receipt or an agenda.
Those two things are already covered in the policy as far as receipts and an agenda. So, you know, I don't know that.
so do you think the
detailed,
rate
but
would
they're
be,
already, I think the rate's the most important.
okay,
And we're not phrasing that in the form of per diem necessarily, it's just a rate for meals.
Straight rate.
Straight rate
Okay,
for
so
meals.
your concept is, if I go eat breakfast somewhere, are you gonna pay me my $26, or are you gonna pay me what it costs me for that breakfast?
What it cost you for that breakfast?
What it costs you for breakfast up to the
Up to
$26 limit.
26
Up to a 26 max
Okay,
Per day.
per day.
Good point.
per day.
so it's a,
My motion would probably recap that and restate it. It would be a meal policy for a maximum of $26 a day. You provide receipts, and we'll pay that receipt to a maximum of $26.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Gerald, second. It's open for discussion.
Do we need to put the stipulation of the 50-mile radius on that?
It's in the policy.
It's in the policy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but I read.
Okay. No more discussion, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Okay. Motion carried. Anybody against? None, unanimously. All right, so we need to present this to the commissioners.
I think,
for
well, I
review.
think, one, we show this as a resolution of the council, and then secondly, yes, I think that needs to be forwarded to the commissioners to be included in the personnel policy.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to also bring about a proposal along with this to the commissioners, that they inform heads of, the department heads or any individuals that are booking their rooms to take it upon themselves to go to the auditor's office and get the tax exemption certificate to present for their rooms so that sales tax is not charged.
All right. We need that as a motion to go ahead and do that.
He needs that, commissioners, you just want to tell the commissioners to send out that memo.
We need a memo on that.
I think
And
it just
I don't know.
clarifies it so everybody's on.
Sarah, I don't want to do more work for you, but do you want to be handing out that certificate? Because once I get that certificate, I could go to Sam's and say, look, I'm buying, I'm buying a bunch of stuff for my office in the county, and it's tax exempt, and it may or may not be for my county. I mean, I don't want to say we have improper employees, but you start letting that tax exempt number out, you've got some liability for that. I mean, I'm on a couple of foundations, and I know.
If they're booking their room for a room, then they usually will come into the office before they leave to get the certificate to take with them.
Okay, but you feel, I mean, would you rather you feel comfortable enough with that versus them coming to you and say, I booked Holiday Inn Express and here's the fax number, you fax it up to them so they know? Okay.
They usually call, and say they're leaving. I usually know when anybody's going on.
Okay.
Well, I recommend after it goes past the
If you feel
commissioners,
comfortable, that's fine.
these changes went in there, send a letter out to the heads of departments, the changes. And then, that this is the changes in that personnel on these particular things, and then also discuss the tax exemption on the tax. That's my suggestion, from there, so we can get that. All right, we're 5 minutes away from having the public hearing. Got a question. Do we need to suspend the current meeting and to go into a public hearing and then reopen the meeting? Okay?
I mean, if you think you're completely done with all your county business,
Is there any other county business
you
that
just close it and then go into your public meeting. But
at
yeah,
this time?
I mean, if you close it, you're done, that's right.
If
You
not,
got Gerald back there.
Gerald? You got anything? Marcia, Rhonda, before we go into, I want a 5-minute recess before we open up, public. I'm looking for a motion to suspend the current meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Jonathan,
Second.
Randall, it's open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll reconvene back with a public hearing at, give us 5 minutes. And then, almost, I guess it's all okay.
No, he's suspended, or recessing is really the best word.
Well, I guess he's saying, I assume they would figure what I'm wanting.
Oh, give it the insurance.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah,
going
he
on.
didn't say they
That's
were 50, but that's
Well,
what
right,
he
you
said.
look at everybody else's.
So I don't know, yeah, this one's great.
And I was gonna ask you about it. So, do you wanna start this, I mean, that's the ordinance, do you wanna start this with me reading the
Yes.
ordinance to him?
Yeah.
It'll take a while, but that's fine.
Okay.
Whatever, 5, 10 minutes. Cause you know me, nothing is non-wordy.
Well, I've got a nephew the same way. He's the lawyer that was. At this time, I'd like to open up a public hearing on the local option income tax. And at this time, I'm going to relinquish time to Mark Clark, the legal counsel, to present and read the ordinance that is being considered. So at this time, Mark?
All right. Listen and bear with me, because it's pretty lengthy. Washington County Council Ordinance number 2013 dash, and that would be filled in. Probably this is our first actual ordinance this year, maybe. No, that we had one, okay. Second or third, whichever. Ordinance establishing local income tax for public safety. Whereas the Washington County Council is the physical body of Washington County, Indiana, and whereas the Washington County Council has reviewed the need for monies to protect and preserve the public safety of the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, and whereas Washington County, Indiana is in the process of expanding its detention and law enforcement services to the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, and whereas the public safety of the citizens of Washington County, Indiana include a police and law enforcement system to preserve public peace and order, a firefighting and fire prevention system to preserve the property and citizenry of Washington County, Indiana, emergency ambulance services, emergency medical services, emergency action services, a probation department of the Circuit and Superior Courts of Washington County, Indiana, the confinement supervision, community corrections programs, or other correction services to the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, and to individuals who live here who have been convicted of a crime, adjudicated a delinquent child or child in need of services, or have been diverted in a criminal justice system from confinement supervision, community correction services, or other correctional services instead of a conviction or adjudication, a juvenile delinquent facility, a juvenile detention facility, a county jail, a county communication system, pension payments for members of fire departments, police departments, or employees of police departments, the county sheriff, or any member of the county sheriff's department or other personnel employed to provide a service of a law enforcement nature, and medical and health expenses incurred by Washington County and the citizens of Washington County for both jail inmates and or other confined persons, and whereas the expenses of public safety for the protection of the citizens of Washington County have increased substantially through the years, and whereas the need to protect the public safety and to provide systems and processes within the public sector to protect and preserve peace and order for the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, are necessary and must be funded in an appropriate amount to protect the citizenry of Washington County, Indiana. Now, therefore, it is ordained by the Washington County Council as follows. 1, that as used in this ordinance, the term, quote, public safety, close quote, refers to that definition as cited in Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-25 and includes but is not limited to the following. And I'm going to read them. These are subparagraphs A, B, C through ILM. A police and law enforcement system to preserve public peace and order. A firefighting and fire prevention system. Emergency ambulance services as defined in Indiana Code 16-18-2-107 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. Emergency medical services as defined in Indiana Code 16-18-2-110 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. Emergency action as defined in Indiana Code 13-11-2-65 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. A probation department of a court located in Washington County, Indiana. Confinement supervision services under a community corrections program as defined in Indiana Code 35-38-2.6-1 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly, or other correctional services for a person who has been diverted before a final hearing or trial under an agreement that is between the county prosecuting attorney and the person or persons custodian, guardian, or parent, and that provides for confinement, supervision, community correction services, or other correction services instead of a final action as described in clauses B or C of Indiana Code 35-38-2.6-1. 2, convicted of a crime, or 3, adjudicated a delinquent child or a child in need of services. Subparagraph H, a juvenile detention facility under Indiana Code 31-38-8 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. A juvenile detention center under Indiana Code 31-38-9 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. A county jail of Washington County, Indiana. A communication system as defined in Indiana Code 36-8-15-3 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. Or an enhanced emergency telephone system as defined in Indiana Code 36-8-16-2 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. Medical and health expenses for jail inmates and other confined persons. Pension payments for any of the following. A member of the fire department is defined in Indiana Code 36-8-1-8 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly, or any other employee of a fire department. A member of the police department is defined in Indiana Code 36-8-18-9 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly. A police chief hired under a waiver is defined in Indiana Code 36-8-4-6.5 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly, or any other employee hired by a police department. A county sheriff or other member of the office of the county sheriff. All other personnel employed to provide a service described as a law enforcement action, period. That there is imposed upon the income of any individual earning income and who is a resident of Washington County, Indiana, as determined by Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-16, as may be amended by the Indiana General Assembly, or who maintains the taxpayer's principal place of business or employment in Washington County, Indiana, on the date specified in Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-16, as amended by the Indiana General Assembly, and who does not on that same date reside in another county in which the county adjusted gross income tax, the county option income tax, or the county economic development income tax is in effect, an income tax rate at 25/100ths of 1%, open parens 0.25%, close parens, beginning with that income earned January 1, 2014 and thereafter. Number 3, that the Washington County Auditor shall send a copy of this ordinance to the Commissioner of the Indiana Department of Revenue, the Director of the Indiana State Budget Agency, and the Commissioner of the Department of Local Government Finance by certified mail or in electronic format approved by the Director of the Budget Agency, which copy shall be a certified copy of this ordinance and shall be sent within 10 days after the date of the vote of this ordinance. Number 4, that it is the intent, direction, and ordinance of the Washington County Council that the passage of this ordinance, that in the passage of this ordinance, that this ordinance and the effects thereof be governed by Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-25 in the implementation of a county option income tax for the purposes of public safety as provided in said Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-25, as may be amended by the Indiana General Assembly. So ordained a judge and created this blank day of blank 2013.
Well, I understand this particular ordinance, or this lowered public safety tax without being used in reference to this ordinance. What it is, it's a public safety, is that and if it is implemented, we also have to implement a property tax relief. And that property tax relief, we had to go back and do some estimates, since we have circuit breakers with property taxes, and look at the impacts of that property tax relief and make a determination of what relief we would do to implement this lowered tax. And I asked Law, which we've used for some of our financial information for the jail and stuff, to see what those impacts of a lowered tax in implementing the property tax relief, what impacts it would have. And there's a uniform distribution, which is all properties in Washington County. And then we've got a qualified residential distribution. And between the two of them, there's only about $10,000 difference as far as what that impact is. To give you, a uniform is a coverage of all property taxes in the county. Qualified residential would be to residences, be to commercial residences, which I would call rental properties, and it would be to, help me out here, Mark, all the different things.
I was looking for something. The qualified residential properties are residential homes, rental properties, and then commercial commercial apartment buildings or commercial multi-family buildings. Maybe exactly the way the statute defines it. Basically, it is your large apartment complexes. To use as an example, here we have, I think it's now called Aspen Meadows, or what used to be Taylor Villa up behind Dairy Queen, Maple Leaf on the west side of town. There's some apartments there in multiple buildings, owned and operated by somebody else. There may be some others, but that's what a qualified residential unit is.
Okay. Like I said, between the two programs, there was only $10,000 difference, and actually it gives a larger tax credit to property tax owners for a uniform, which would be a relief of $229,000 on a uniform, and on the qualified residential, it gave a tax relief of $219,000.
Tell them what uniform means.
Uniform is everybody. Everybody. That's farmer's terms. I don't know what lawyer.
Well, that's pretty much it. That's residential's, rental properties, but it also includes basically also includes your commercial and your agricultural land.
Correct. So, in talking with Law about this, with the difference, and they made the comment that in a lot of counties, this difference between these figures usually is a lot bigger, but in Washington County, there was only $10,000 difference in their estimates. So they were a little surprised, but in the conversation, they said that makes, it's a lot easier to work with a uniform project as far as disbursements and the auditor's office as far as implementing this. So, but they were surprised that there was just $10,000 difference between the two figures. And
Maybe at this point, as you have said, I've read the ordinance for the local public safety tax. If you'd like me to read the ordinance regarding the property.
and I would undoubtedly like to hear you again.
I'm sure you will. Whereas, ordinance establishing rate for property tax relief, whereas the citizens of Washington County, Indiana pay a tax upon real estate and improvements thereon for the purposes of providing monies to the Washington County General Fund, and whereas the Washington County Council is the physical body of Washington County, Indiana, and whereas the Washington County Council believes that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Washington County that a local option income tax for public safety be imposed upon the citizens of Washington County, provide funding for public safety purposes to preserve public peace and order of the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, and whereas Indiana law provides for the implementation of a public safety local option income tax contingent upon an enactment of a local option income tax to provide a rate for property tax relief pursuant to Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-26. And whereas the Washington County Council believes that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Washington County, Indiana to lower their property tax rates and to provide property tax relief whenever possible to the citizens of Washington County, Indiana. And whereas Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-26 provides for an income tax to provide a credit against property taxes paid by the citizens of Washington County, Indiana. Now, therefore, it is ordained by the Washington County Council as follows. Number one, that the Washington County Council believes that it is appropriate and it is the intent of the Washington County Council to impose an income tax rate pursuant to Indiana Code 6-3.5-1.1-26 as amended by the Indiana General Assembly for the purposes of funding a property tax relief credit to the taxpayers of Washington County, Indiana. Period. Number two, that the Washington County Council imposes a rate of 25/100 of 1%, open parens, 0.25%, close parens, to fund local property tax replacement credits as follows. Option A, to provide local property tax relief credits at a uniform rate to all taxpayers of Washington County, Indiana, open parens, that the Washington County Council has made available to the citizens of Washington County, Indiana, the council's best estimate of the amount of the property tax replacement credits to be provided by this ordinance to homesteads, other residential properties, commercial properties, industrial properties, and agricultural properties. And as part of this, ordinance declares and acknowledges that some taxpayers in Washington County that do not pay the tax under this ordinance will receive a property tax replacement credit that is funded with tax revenue from the tax rate provided by this ordinance, period. Now, option B, that the tax revenue generated by this ordinance shall be used to uniformly provide a homestead credit percentage to those individuals who qualify for a homestead credit in Washington County, Indiana. Option C, that the tax rate generated by this ordinance shall be used to provide local property tax replacement credits at a uniform rate for all qualified residential property located in Washington County, Indiana. Number two, that upon the passage of this ordinance, not more than 10 days after the vote of the Washington County Council, the Washington County Auditor shall send a certified copy of this ordinance to the Commissioner of the Indiana Department of Revenue, the Director of the Indiana State Budget Agency, and to the Commissioners of the Department of Local Government Finance by certified mail or in electronic format approved by the Director of the Budget Agency. Number four, the effective date of this ordinance shall be upon its passage so that the property tax relief credits may be generated and applied to property tax rates in Washington County, Indiana, beginning January 1, 2014, and thereafter for property bills generated after January 1, 2014. So ordained, the judge and decreed this blank day of blank 2013. The decision you have to make is David's been talking about is which of those options do you do? Do you do the uniform? Do you do the qualified? Or do you simply do residential properties in and of itself? And the concept about the residential properties or declaring that some taxpayers in Washington County may get the credit when they don't pay the rate if you do the uniform is that there could be individuals who have enough credits against their current tax rate right now that they're not paying a property tax anyway. And basically you're going to give them an additional credit. And the question may be, why are we giving that to them? Well, because if it's uniform, they're going to get it. I mean, you can't pick and choose. So if you have a World War I veteran who is blind and widowed and gets a disability and lives in a pretty poor house, they may not be actually paying any taxes on that. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but that's the example that you can use.
There are probably scenarios out there,
Right.
very few, that might qualify
for
that.
that.
Okay. With that, I mean, as we've gone through this budget process and looked at different things and knowing that we've got a jail that's being built and new operating expenses, you know, the discussion has been with the council in that. So, you know, as far as where we're at right now. So, with that, I think we've done enough introduction in that. This is a public hearing, so we're opening it up that anybody would like to speak to the council on this proposal. Please do.
You got, did you ask for an affidavit of the publication?
They usually say,
Okay.
All right.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it
Have
there.
you seen the notice in the paper?
Yes.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I know Rhonda records and maybe there's some other recording. I'm just gonna say, I mean, this is a public hearing. It was advertised as a public hearing. I note that we have 3 representatives of media, 2 commissioners, the auditor, and the highway department, or highway. What are you, Gerald? You're with the highway department, supervisor, or one of the 3 district managers, or whatever the commissioners call them now.
So at this time.
So we don't have a lot of public, but that's who constitutes our membership of the public hearing. So, go ahead.
At this time, anybody would like to speak as far as the public hearing? Yes, Rhonda?
Okay, so what does this actually mean money-wise to an individual? Say that has a medium income house and medium income, or what does this mean for them?
For them, it means, and we did not ask Umball to give us calculations per example, just kind of the way you did.
Right.
But what it should mean, and what DGOF has told us in their figures as well, is that you will have an increase in you will have a new income tax line item on your personal income tax form, Indiana income tax form.
Right.
And correspondingly, on our DGOF, when they give us the rates and all the credits for preparing tax bills, you will see a new line item of a credit against property taxes, against real estate taxes. In theory, those 2 figures should be very close to the same figure. And that's the way I'm going to say it, because I am sure there will be some individuals who, may not have a lot of declared income, because that tax rate on the income, I think, goes on your AG, your adjusted gross income. And so if you have a lot of deductions between your gross income line, you have a lot of credits or deductions against that before you hit your adjusted gross income. That figure may not, and you own a lot of real estate, you may actually see a larger credit amount than you'll see the 0.25 bring in on income tax. Overall, to our county, DGOF is telling us that the public safety tax will bring in approximately $600,000. Now that is based, or no, yes, 600,000?
Yes.
For general fund, yes. That would be what it would bring into the county. That would not be the Washington County share. Each of the distributing tax entities will get a share of that. And that is, that's what is shown on some of these. Actually, some of the taxing, well, I think all of the taxing units will have a portion of that. And most all of them are increases versus what they used as baseline. For instance, with the uniform distribution, Salem Community School is getting would get $194,000 from the Lowett distribution. They would get, in reality, $63,000 more by the Lowett tax than what they will be losing in property tax. So they will actually be gaining by having the Salem Community School Corporation will be gaining revenue versus what the property tax relief will take away from them in collection of property taxes. And Umball is telling us, at least at this point, that they, based on their calculations, that would be $63,000. The city of Salem would be getting $99,000 increase. So you can see that it's not exactly a dollar for dollar scenario. The smallest one we saw was, looks like Washington County Solid Waste Management. They'll get $6,000 increase.
So if they're a taxing agency, then they get,
They get a distribution. It works that portion of it works exactly like Edit. Or Catch It, let's say well, it works like Edit if they give a plan, but yeah, if they don't give a plan, they don't get the money. But yes, Catch It would be a better. Catch It's a better example, that's right. It is exactly like Catch It. What we bring into the county gets a portion of, but each of the taxing units also get a portion of it.
so what is the sum that Washington County gets out of that 600,000? Theoretical 600,000, I understand.
600, it's not
It's
600,000.
900.
It's 900, let me back up, it's
It was
900,000.
992.
It's
Okay,
992, yes,
County
thousand for the
600.
total county. They have told us that we would, again, they're kind of looking at Edit and Catch It, around 600,000. What we have used in looking at this year, at 2014 budget, is a figure of $400,000, just to have a cushion in there if the figures are somewhat lower than what DGOF is telling us. So to answer your question right there, was approximately 600,000 is the county share, 900,000 is the overall county share. I misspoke earlier.
that's all right. So if it takes out of the property tax, does it take out of our property tax that's distributed to the county?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So does this,
The county share of property tax takes a hit. The credits work on that as well.
okay, so does this cover our bill for the payments that we have to make on the jail expansion?
Not on the expansion.
Not on this is not for the purposes of funding the bond that would be, that the county is incurring to build the jail expansion.
Okay, so the.
Is that your question? Would
Yeah,
that answer your question?
yeah, so, okay, so,
This is more for operating cost.
Okay.
There you go.
The increased operating cost, and we've had estimates anywhere from $200,000 to $420,000 increase up and above what the current jail is. We're operating right now of the increase of operating the jail.
It can be used for that, okay?
Yeah.
It can be used for other things that, and Rhonda, I know you've sat here.
You're
but
fine.
If the public sits here and listens to our budget, I mean, it can be used to help pay pensions. I mean, that pension plan for the sheriff is only gonna keep increasing because those guys are getting older. And most of our sheriffs, I know we have an empty spot right now, but most of them are getting a lot of years of experience. I mean, we can use it that's gonna be an ongoing debt and an increasing debt the county has. The expenses we fight with maybe fighting's not, we discuss with probation departments, how the expenses we incur with juveniles being housed at Jackson County Detention Center because we do not have a detention center. It can be used to pay for that. Our state 911 that we talked about some today that we know is, at least right now, is in a negative number. Those monies can be used for that. So it can be used for operating expenses in a large range of what is considered public safety.
okay, so where is the payment for the jail coming from? Now, going on to another subject, if this is just the operating expenses, how are we going to pay for the jail?
That
The
is
jail bond.
on a
It's on-
jail bond on property taxes.
That's outside the levy.
It's outside the limit.
Okay, so it's a different,
Yeah.
it'll be addressed this next budget hearing, or is it being addressed now, or?
That was a public hearing already to establish the bonds,
Yeah.
Right,
and that's already happened. The bonds have been issued, and it's already been, put on as outside of the levy. It's something that's gonna be added on outside of the levy in there to pay those bonds off.
and
In
those
terms
payments,
of overall tax bill, yes, that,
Yeah, it's gonna be additional tax.
Yeah.
it's gonna be an additional tax and that's already been passed and put on.
Yeah,
okay, see, that's, where I needed to clarify so that
Sure.
everybody knows what's happening.
that happened in what, April?
April.
Yeah. something
That's
like
what I
that.
thought,
Yeah.
yeah. But,
I'd
you know,
say April, maybe March, but
I'm gonna defer to Mark and see if his figures, I think this may be a question you might be addressing. 45,000 income, is that the right rate?
that would be the right, yes, that'd be the right rate on
So his tax would be.
the tax on that. That would be a tax, that would be the tax on your income. I don't know what your offset.
Rhonda, you know, of course, looking in the plan commission and some of the comprehensive plan, of course, it's a couple of years old, but they use some median, you know, incomes and stuff. And there was, I think 47,000 was in the county at that particular time. But I used, for simplicity of numbers, I used 45,000 as
Right.
an income,
Right.
times the tax rate, that was $112.50 of property, of public safety, low in tax, but what it would be.
okay. One thing that you can do as a person that's looking at your own taxes is take last year's figures and go ahead and just apply the .25 and see what happens. Because there's you're right, there's so many ways to
And I
take
just
it.
use that as an example,
Right, yeah, and that's a good example, and that gives you an idea.
so.
But yeah.
If you.
And what their impact will be on their property taxes to offset that, it depends on the amount of property they own and stuff like that, so.
But that's-
because we're doing the relief. So everybody's individual, has individual cases with income and amount of property tax that they're, you know, so they can take that figure and take their tax bill and assess value and work those things out.
Do the schools and other organizations that will be getting a cut of this, do they have to use it specifically for safety?
No,
They,
they don't, this is whenever we implement this, as far as a property tax, this is what you would call their windfall of gain of money that they would get for their property taxes, okay? Of course, this is where I got into government algebra. They gave us figures with parentheses around them, you know, like for Washington County. Well, like for the city of Salem, had $99,000, and they put this in parentheses, and I thought it was going to have a negative impact on the city, you know. But they told me that that was not true. It was actually a positive input back in there because it has to do with the caps, you know, and people with credits. This was a reduction of credits, you know. So in the Jello things, they actually come into a plus of 99,000. Now, to differentiate and to give you a better description, the city of Salem, you know, will have that type of a windfall of, you know, an increase in revenue, but this 99,000 doesn't have to be used for public safety. But with the public safety tax, their money that they would receive from that does have to be used for public safety. Their money that they receive from the property tax relief can be utilized just like in their general other expenditure. But the public safety has to be used for public safety issues. Now, Salem Corporation in East Washington, they won't receive any public safety type of tax, you know, revenue. But because of the property tax relief that's been put on, Salem will receive $63,000 more, East Washington will receive $7,000 more, and West Washington will use $2,000. My concern when I saw these figures in there was that, like the city of Salem, I thought would be able, they were going to get a public safety, you know, money in, and where it's going to have this decrease. But I was concerned about the school districts weren't being able to be a participant in the public safety, you know, to relieve what they lost. But after they interpreted and relayed with me with these figures, these bracketed items are actually a revenue increase for every one of these taxing entities of what revenue they would get. And I've got Washington County, City of Salem, Salem Community, East Washington, West Washington, Public Library at Salem is going to have an estimated change in credit of $7,000 more, solid waste $6,000, and then all the other taxing units out there is going to have $6,000, which come up to $229,000 on the uniform distribution.
Could I get a copy of that or a
Yeah,
file?
we've got copies.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't print off, but we can get you copies.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Yeah.
email me a PDF
Yeah.
if you've got a chance. That would save me a lot of time.
So, anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. That's on the uniform distribution and compared to the, anything else we need to bring up? Anybody else in the public?
We were in the auditor's office one day, Michelle and I were discussing this, and she was able to print out a sheet. There are 18 other counties that have this lower tax, particularly for the safety. The counties around us that have it are Clark, Lawrence has it. Those are the only two, although I will say that it's interesting, Scott does not have it, but in reading various statutes in terms of setting up the relief and or the Department of Safety, Scott got some special legislation passed that basically allowed them to raise an income tax for the extent of the building of their jail, and then once that's done, it sunsets. So why they don't have it, they in essence have it, okay? It's not gonna be listed here, but they got, and don't ask me particularly how they got it, but they got, I mean, the subsection of the or the section of the statute is Scott County detention building expenses, okay? That's what it's basically titled. Lawrence has it, Clark has it. Orange does not have it, but I would say also Orange is a DOC holding facility, which means DOC is paying them for prisoners, which again, under our jail building scenario is also being considered and is being offset as a source of income, so they're getting some income.
Orange County
Orange.
has a boat now too.
Orange County has a boat now. Harrison County doesn't have it, but it of course has the boat as well. So, I mean, even though they don't have it, it's interesting to me. I mean, they obviously have some other sources of income coming in helping. So, there you go.
Okay.
I think it's worth mentioning too, I mean, if you can read the papers and you can see the bust for meth. I mean, over the last 3 to 6 months, I mean, it seems like it's in the paper 1 or 2 times. I mean, that's putting a strain on, that's putting a strain on the courts, law enforcement. There's a need for it. I don't think that's really a matter of opinion. You can just see it by talking to whoever was in the paper, and just the fact that the county's we've been really good about trying to police it, but I mean, it's an added expense. Anytime you bust a large meth operation, I mean, there's a lot of expense that goes into that. So,
They'll tell you it costs a small.
yeah, I mean, and it's just ridiculous how much activity we're seeing with that.
Unfortunately, we look at different things, the county government, as we go in there, in the council meeting in there, health and crime are expensive in this county. They're big ticket items, big ticket. So,
Well, they're probably expensive in most places.
yeah,
I mean, just to be honest.
discussion, Dave, you act like you want to open your mouth for something, I don't know. I don't know if there's.
Just for future reference, I'd like to ask our attorney something.
You can ask the council attorney something, but you can ask your attorney.
You made a statement, Mark, earlier, that Lawrence, or Orange County was a DOC holding facility. Is there specific steps that we would have to go through as a county to obtain that type of certification? as a holding facility, or is it something that the sheriff just contacts the state and prisoners are sent?
As
or-
far as I know, it's pretty much between the sheriff and the DOC. You know, I hate to say on tape, but don't hold me to that, because I will. In the past, that was pretty much the way it was, although there was DOC, when you contacted them at one time, DOC would send you down a letter of understanding, so there would be something in writing. But to my knowledge, I mean, you know, Tom, Claude need to probably talk about that, because under the current budget for the budgeting process for the expansion, I know there's a line item of revenue for that, so.
When I was on that committee, there was a great discussion on that, and I understood that the sheriff made those arrangements.
Well, he makes the ultimate decision, because he's the one in charge of the
Bill's
jail.
on that committee now, so I don't know what.
Yeah,
He is looking.
But I know that that's one of the main issues that we're really
Right.
going for, because of the number of prisoners that we're going to have.
Yeah, he's ultimately, the sheriff is ultimately in charge of the jail. If he doesn't want DOC prisoners in there, then the county can't force him to take them.
The way I understand it, or the types.
Or well, I don't know about that. I mean, that may be, I don't
What I
know.
was told.
I don't know how much discussion he and DOC has about that, so that may be.
But it would be advantageous to be, say, ACA accredited or something like that, if you want the state to look at it.
It would at least be nice to be passing the state inspection without any write-ups. Say that.
Rhonda?
No, if it doesn't go through, what would you do? What would happen? Is this that desperate a need?
Revenue is needed by far. With the increase of expenses that's going to be on operating the new jail, and with our current budget being burdened the way it is right now, that's the reason we're here, because it is in need.
Okay, so,
I mean, it's $400,000, while it is tax money, it is $400,000 of additional revenue that we simply do not have. And when we're earlier talking about $300,000 and $400,000 health insurance alone increases, you know, it is a set-off. It will allow us to use general fund monies in other places to meet general fund needs by having this supplemental income come in.
It'll really dictate and take care of some of the additional needs and some of the burden that the judicial and correctional in there, and we leave up the general budget for other items.
And we haven't talked a lot, but one of the things I think you can either do as the public, you've got to make the decision on the options you want to make on this tax relief.
So do we do that in a regular meeting? Or do we do it as
You
a-
can do it, it's advertised, you can take your vote today, gentlemen.
Can we take it now, or do we have
Yes.
to close and
No.
open it up as council?
You can do it now.
We can do it as a hearing,
Yes.
okay?
So we need a motion to choose which C was the uniform across the
Uniform
board.
distribution.
Well, you tell me which one it is, and I'll work it
Well,
on the options.
don't you have to apply the ordinance before you do you've got to do them both?
You've got to do them both, and, I mean, if you want to do the local public safety one first and then the tax, that's
If
fine.
you don't do the public safety one,
Then you don't have to do the rate, that's right, the
Okay.
tax relief, not the
Yeah.
rate, but the relief, that's right. So, from that perspective, yes, if you want to decide whether you want to do the public safety first, or you want to wait until your next meeting, you can. To get a full year's collection in, we have to have this up to the three bodies I talked about that she's got to send it up to. We have to do that by October 1st. So, I mean, in my opinion, you can take the action today, but if you want to still wait another month.
And then what's the 10 days?
The 10 days is when the auditor has to get it to
To them.
DGOF, whoever I read there, the Department of Revenue, the Director of Indiana State Budget Agency, and Commissioners of the Department of Local Government and Finance, and the Director of the Budget Agency.
Okay.
That apparently gives them, you gotta do that within 10 days. I guess they can then question whether we've got the ordinances right and how much the percentage is and that type of thing. And can come back and say yes or no. By statute, she's directed to give it to them within 10 days. I don't know how they picked that metric date, but they did, so.
Okay. Dan, do you have,
I mean, yeah, if you want to do your public safety one first, because you don't do.
that's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do the public safety, then this other one.
Then the other
no.
one goes away, yeah. You don't have to mess with it at all.
Well, I'd make the motion that we, as the public safety income tax.
Okay, have a motion on the floor. Go ahead and approve the ordinance.
I'll second that.
Okay, Jonathan Spalding has made a second. It's open for discussion.
Do we have to decide whether the uniform or the qualified
If we-
residential at the same time?
If we
No.
afterwards.
No, yeah, not at this time. You know.
Not at this time, then.
Yeah.
In about 2 minutes.
I was gonna
I mean,
say,
if it
Discussion.
passes, yeah.
Randall?
The rate,
The rate
we're
is,
gonna go with the minimum,
.025.
Yeah,
minimum.
or that's,
That would be my motion, that we go with the minimum rate.
okay,
minimum rate of .0025.
no, it's .25.
1.225.
It's .25, and that's,
.25%.
Yeah.
and that is, no, wait a minute, you guys are,
Well, I use it multiples, you know, that's the reason I use that in there.
let me see something.
0.25.
No, it's .25.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's percent.
Yeah, that's gonna be 30%.
It's a
Quarter of a percent.
quarter of a percent.
Yeah. That's the minimum.
Yeah, well, no, it's not the minimum.
Yeah, I was gonna say that may very well be,
Yeah.
That's just the rate.
Maybe the max.
that may be the max.
Maybe the max.
That may be the maximum rate, that's what I'm trying to.
I think it is the max.
Here in the statute.
And the minimum is what we would, you know, is in the relief.
Okay, the .25
Yeah.
is gonna need to be.
Right, see,
Yeah, it is .25.
It is
That is the
0.25.
max.
.25, and I believe that's the max.
That is the
I
max.
don't wanna mislead anybody, that's the minimum.
Yes.
If you're punching in the calculator with your income, it's .0025.
That makes it a quarter
Yeah,
percent.
that makes it a %.
Well,
And I know that the government puts it .25 and then they put percent on it. But as far as doing the math, I really don't care how government does math, to tell you the truth.
Dave, we are government.
You are government.
But you is government.
I mean, when you're saying the minimum, I don't believe
I
that's
think
correct.
the minimum is what's proposed on the property tax relief.
Right,
All right,
This is the maximum on the public safety.
that's what we want to do.
that's what I believe.
That's the only way the numbers will work.
Right.
The relief is up to 1%. But I read the two ordinances to have the same .25, 0.25%. And you have to do at least that, or I'm looking at the statute now, if the county council imposes a tax rate of at least 0.25% under section 24, which is the public safety section, a tax rate of at least 0.25 under section 26, or a combined between the freeze and the relief have to be given. So if you do the public safety at the .025, which is your maximum rate, then you have to do at least that much
On the property tax.
on property taxes.
Okay. Is my motion understood then?
I'm having trouble with the decimal point.
You know where we're at, Michelle?
Right there.
All right, I'm good with it then.
Okay.
And quit saying .025,
It's
or 0.25.
0.25.
Okay, it's a quarter of a percent. All right,
which is the same as your.
discussion.
It is the same as your gadget.
Yes.
Taxes.
Call for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Motion carried unanimously. All right. Property tax relief to the ordinance.
Should we do the uniform distribution or the qualified residential distribution? Should we address that before we go to property tax?
Yes, yes. You're there, you now have to do a tax relief of some sort on property, on your real estate property. So you're there, and yes, that question now is, do you do, and he just had the two done, but do you do the three? Do you just give it to residential only? Do you give it to the qualified, or do you do it uniform? Yes, that decision has to be made now.
Well, I'll make the motion that we adopt the uniform distribution for the property tax credit.
And Jonathan Spalding has made the motion to use the uniform distribution of the circuit breaker tax credits. Gerald
Property, not circuit breaker, on the property tax relief credit.
Do we need to state the amount of relief, the
.25.
It has to be the minimum of that, so yes, but you just did, that's what I had.
0.25% uniform distribution.
Okay, do we have a second? Gerald made the second on that, so we'll do this discussion. Okay, we'll take it to a vote. We are voting on a uniform distribution of 0.25 on property tax. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, the same. Motion carried unanimously. Anything else need to be at the public hearing? That pretty well qualifies it. I look for a motion to close this public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Randall, Gerald made the second. Take to a vote. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please raise your right hand. Opposed, same. Yeah. Motion carried, close the public hearing.
Wait a minute, Gerald.
Now, we're back. Anybody make a motion to reconvene on the county council?
I'll make that motion.
Jonathan,
I'll second.
Dawsey, any discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same. Okay, motion carried. Now we're back in the county council. Is there any more business needs to be in front of the county council at this time? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Gerald?
I'm already out of the car.
Second, Ben Bowling,
Now then,
close
quick
it.
question, when's our next meeting?
August 22nd
22nd,
at
8:30,
AM.
8.
Now, wait a minute, yes. I need you to sign, here's the ordinance establishing the public safety, so all you need to sign that. I'm gonna make a, the rate, I had the three options listed for advertising purposes, and I'm gonna take B and C out. So I'll be in touch with you, and you guys are gonna have to come in and sign that in my office within the next 3 or 4 days, so we get it up there in 10 days, okay? If you're not coming, I'm gonna be calling you.
I'll need to do it this week, I go into search.
Well, I'll take it back, and she'll have it at the front desk by this afternoon, so anybody who wants to stop in this afternoon. Dawson, do you hear me? Dawson, do you hear me? You need to come to my office this week to sign some papers
Next 3 days.
in the next 3 days. You can probably come after lunch if you want.
All right, our motion on the floor is to adjourn. All in favor, just raise your right hand. Motion carried. You can stay here.
It's already done. Here, have those guys sign those before I leave.
Thank you.
Sign that stuff.
I'm good. I'm good.
Figure out
We just
how
needed
you're
one
supposed to
signature on it.
do that.
Yes.